welcome back to my studio. Today I'm going to share with you 4 of my favorite water-soluble materials, and we're going to use these old book pages. If you follow me for a while, you know I use old books to make art journals, and so I keep the gutted pages and I use them in my art projects. So I went ahead and gessoed a whole bunch of pages, as you can see there on the left. I wanted to show you what I use. So gift cards, or you can use one of those tools or a paintbrush, really whatever you have. But just go ahead and gesso up a whole bunch of pages, let them dry, and then we'll get started. So my first favorite, if you will, is my Stabilo All Pencil in black. It does come in other colors, and I'll show you another color here in a minute. But the black is my all-time favorite. I use it all the time, and I'm going to show you why. So here I am just making some dots. Scribbles, really, if you will, and I'm going to come back in with some water. And just go over the scribbles. Look how pigmented that is, right? I was able to do a whole nother row of little dots without even adding any of the Stabilo to it. Look how rich that black is. Now, you can also use it straight in water, and you'll get this really creamy, smooth feel. You have to try it to understand, but it's really smooth and creamy. You can use it to draw with. And then, again, it's really pigmented. So look, I can do splatters and not have to pick up any more. Now, the Stabilo Alls will be reactivated with water once they dry. So if you are using it in something, you would want to seal it before you maybe added another layer, or if you do it like I do, it doesn't matter and I just don't care. Here is a blue that I have, really pretty blue. Just wanted to show you, you can draw with it, you can do splatters with it. It is just as rich as the black. You can also use it like a watercolor. It's a great pencil, and the fun thing about it is it goes over most surfaces. Now, the Inktense pencils by Derwent, these, by the way, do not reactivate with water. So once they dry, they're permanent, which is really nice. And one of the nice things about having these pencils is you can travel with them, right? So if you can't take paints with you or inks or something that's already, wet material, you can take a couple pencils with you and have some water. So you've got those travel paintbrushes with the water in the barrel and a couple of these pencils and a sketch pad, and you've got your instant watercolors if maybe you don't have a watercolor set. But I love the intensity of these pencils. They are, they move also really nicely with a lot of water, as you can see here. But, it's not just mark making that you can do with these pencils. You can actually, draw with them, or paint, if you will. So here's just an example, a really quick botanical sketch. And again, I love splatter. And these Inktense pencils have such are so pigmented, you get a really good bit of color. And then you can see I'm just using water on the tip of that pencil to get that blue sky in there. Kind of cool, huh? Next up, we have the Neo watercolors, and you may have seen me use these before. They come in a lot of great colors. They're like a soft pastel, if you will. They also are reactivated with water, so just keep that in mind. But they're just so much fun to play with. And I love doing this technique where it's just smushing around the color with scribbles, basically. And then I'm going to come in with a bunch of water. Basically, it's saturated so that you almost see the pigment moving across the gessoed paper. And then I come back in with a heat tool and I just work it back and forth. You'll see here in a second. Once it is completely saturated, I take the heat tool and I just keep drawing it back and forth. and it moves the color into each other, and it's a really cool effect, and you get to see little pieces of the book page coming through. And I've used these, I've made cards, I've used them in the back of, or rather in art journal layouts. Sometimes I just use it as a warm-up because it's just fun. See how it's moving? It's thick, but it's thin enough that it moves around. It's got this just really cool texture to it. It's just, you gotta try. If you haven't tried the Neo colors, you gotta try them. Now, another cool thing you can do with them is if you have a sandwich baggie or any kind of like plastic. And again, if you can't take paints with you, you can take a couple of Neo colors, some kind of plastic, and a water barrel brush. Here we go. And it's like having solid watercolors with you, right? So you just scribble it on your plastic, grab your water and your brush. Look at that, like instant watercolor. And that's watercolor paper. And you can see how beautifully it reacts to the watercolor paper. This is not gessoed, by the way. This is just straight watercolor paper. Look at that. All right, so last but not least, we have the Stabilo Woodies. And if you haven't used these, treat yourself to them. They're buttery, they're creamy, they go on really smoothly. They're really rich and pigmented. They're just a lot of fun. Again, it's another good one to take with you if you want to try, do some art on the road, so to speak. They're fun to play with in art journals. They're just really great. So stay tuned for part 2. I will show you a couple of layouts where I've used some of these materials. I'm going to do a quick layout to show you how I use some of these pages I just made. And yeah, leave me a note in the comments and tell me what you think. Bye!